Uwe Boll fans in the room? Okay, well, for those that know who Uwe is, he is your beloved German director who does many video game and horror adaptations: House of the Dead, Far Cry, Blood Rain, you know, Seed. Seed, which actually is a very good horror film. If you haven't had a chance to see it, it's a very good film. And then he also did a Vietnam film recently called Tunnel Rats, which was amazingly good about the the tunnel warfare that was conducted over there. But he is returning to the video game roots with a Blood Rain 3, and there's also an Alone in the Dark 2, which is currently in the late stages of development. So for those of you who like independent horror films, you'll definitely have plenty to keep an eye on. 30 Days of Night 2 is also in the planning stages, so you'll be seeing that very soon. And now we get to talk more about the stuff that is not just rumored. This is the stuff that's either filming done or in the rapidly happening stage. And the first one is Cabin Fever 2. But we're going to start moving back and forth now between mainstream films and horror films because, like I said, 3 hours worth of material, 1 hour to tell it in. And yeah, they seem to like that announcement over there. Thank you very much. So the Alien vs. Predator franchise is thankfully on the dead and out stage because the Alien prequel and the Predator remake / prequel that is happening. Now, the good thing about it is that, talk about the twisted world of economics, there apparently was a role-playing Alien game and a shooter game that was in the works. They were well into development, they got stopped, and now Alien vs. Predator, the third one in the popular series, is coming out. So you can have that to look forward to. One of the more interesting things that I'm keeping an eye on is the real push. Right now we've covered a lot of the the horror films are coming. The superhero films are the other thing that they're just flooding the market with right now. You've got Green Lantern coming. And first, Chris Pine from Star Trek was going to be him. Now it's going to be someone else. Now it's going to be someone else. But that's really hot and heavy. They've got Thor. They've got the Avengers in the works right now. They've got Captain America is ready to go before the green light soon. Yes? A little bit. Just Thor and Loki. It's all... They have a couple of people cast, but nothing really official yet. So what we're doing is... I had a couple of possibilities because, officially I heard this one actor got the role. And then someone told me, no, don't be so quick to judge. It might be this person might be that. So it's kind of one of those that I'm waiting until I get a clarification on it. Because at the Emerald City Comic Con, it was a different actor altogether, locked, sealed, and guaranteed had the deal. So, I don't know whether it was one of those things where, like the situation with Chris Pine. There were rumors that he was the leading candidate, that was it, that was a done deal. Now I'm hearing Nathan Fillion from, Serenity was actually one of the people that they're considering for the role. So, I kind of take once it's kind of announced, that's when you can start to believe it, because rumors are great, but on films like this where it's changing every other week as to who's doing it, I've always found it's better just to stay away from it, just truthfully. By the time the video of the panel hits the web, they've already got a new front runner for it. So I can tell you one casting rumor that you'll get a real kick out of: Vin Diesel as Submariner. Yeah, Vin Diesel. And by the way, they are considering another 1 to 2 Riddick films, by the way. So those are in the planning stages. They're also kicking around the ideas for a Men in Black 3, based on what Tommy Lee and Will Smith's availability is. Tron 2.0 is coming, I'm sure, as you heard, with Bruce Boxleitner. Now, I can tell you this, 3D. It is going to be done in the brand new digital 3D, so you'll have that to look forward to. So, yeah. The other stuff that we're hearing that's going to get really, really interesting is that as we get to 2012, you're going to see probably a rise in the end of the world disaster films again. Because for those of you who know the mythology, that's the date, December 2012, when the Aztec calendar ends, and there are those that say that's it, that's the end of all of us. If you follow the X-Files, that was the date that Mulder was able to figure out when the alien invasion was coming, and that would be the end of all humanity. Well, on a side note, the folks who brought us Independence Day, or at least half of them, Roland Emmerich has a movie called 2012, which is a big end of the world thing. And I can tell you that even though it didn't do as well at the US box office, it did well overseas and did well on DVD. they are still considering strongly a third X-Files movie that will basically tie up everything. It would hopefully be, the plan is to release it right around 2012, and one of the rumored titles I heard that they were kicking around was Endgame. So it'd be the X-Files Endgame. This is it. They, you know, do they save humanity? Do they save us, or were we all colonized and becoming slaves to the black oil? So look forward to that. Good chance it may happen. You know, I don't normally deal with a lot of the, you know, senior side of Hollywood per se, but you know, David Duchovny's troubles have been kind of well chronicled lately, and it was very nice to see. I don't know if you heard, but you know, he and Taya have resolved everything, and they're doing a second wedding and a renewal of vows, so that's really good. So I think you probably would see a, you know, if there's interest from Fox, which I'm told there is, it's good that you may see another X-Files film to just wrap it all up, because as much as I like seeing the last film, it had a couple of shortcomings, and I think for me the biggest issue is if they don't resolve the alien invasion, then the whole series and everything was for naught, because I have a hard time believing they all lived happily ever after, you know, when we all know that in 3 years, it's everything they did and all the sacrifices they made were kind of for naught. So hopefully we'll see that. Hugh Jackman, they are doing another Wolverine movie, and they are doing another, basically it's a sequel to the last one. They are still kicking around the ideas for a Magneto film, but that's been kind of put on the back burner as Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool. They are doing a standalone Deadpool film, but apparently he'll be a little closer to the comic and not the way he was interpreted in the Wolverine prequel. Terminator 4 Salvation, and everyone see that yet? Well, decent enough film, really enjoyed the ending. One of the great things about it is it was planned to be part of an ongoing series. And Robert Patrick has been approached to appear in the next one. At least the idea that he would play the father, or basically the guy who created the metal Terminator, the liquid metal Terminator, so that's one thing you could do that. Now, one thing I'm really curious about is when the DVD of Terminator Salvation comes out, the ending we saw in the theaters was not the original shot and intended ending to the film. They tested it with test audiences. It did not go over very well, so they came up with a new ending. And apparently the original ending had something to do with John Connor finding out he's actually a Terminator. And the test audiences did not go too well for that. So, but I heard that since the scene was shot, there were also some scenes, like I heard there was some nudity and stuff in the film that it was trimmed out. You may see this, so I wouldn't be surprised to see an unrated director's cut of the film coming out sometime in the near future. You know about Star Trek and how they've already begun planning the next Star Trek film. You may see Khan in it, you may not, because there's a debate. Some want to say put Khan in there. Some people say since we're in the alternate timeline, let's go fresh and go in that direction. There is the possibility, again, of William Shatner appearing in this film, so we'll see how that goes. Any quick questions while we're moving along here? Yes? The X-Men. They are considering ideas for a fourth one, but right now, with Wolverine doing as well as it has done, they're kind of staying with that one. One of the other ideas is that, as I said, they've got the original plan right now is that Iron Man 2, as you know, is in the works, and they're doing that. Iron Man 3 is supposed to serve as the Avengers film. Then you have, I think Chris Columbus, if I remember right, is doing, in 2010, you have the Captain America film. And one of the things that they announced was, like, Sam Jackson has basically been put under contract to, I think, make, if I remember it correctly, it was 8 or 9 appearances as Nick Fury. But of course, then that was always depending on how these things go. If everything goes well, these films are all hits and making money. But of course, if a couple tank, that could cut that off. Because right now, we're in a really interesting time where the Hulk was well received, Iron Man was well received, The Dark Knight was well received. But we all know before that, until Spider-Man came along and some of the Batman films, the later Superman films, and some of the others weren't, very popular. So I think, there's, on one hand, they think they found the right formula. On the other hand, all you need is a disaster like what the first Hulk movie was, and it could, upset the apple cart as it was.